What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. So as you can tell by the title, we're going to be talking about telling my daughter that she was born in prison. For those new to my channel, I'm a recovering addict who served time in prison, and my entire life story is in the description box down below. If you want to follow me on any other social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Patreon, all of that is linked down below, as well as my vlog channel where you can see my daily life vlogging around. If you have not seen the videos that I have done in the past, I will leave a playlist in the description box or on the card up here so that you guys can go back and watch the video where I talk about giving birth in prison and then answering your questions about giving birth in prison. But let's just jump right into it today. So a very quick recap. I found out I was pregnant after being in a county jail for a couple of weeks. I was terrified. I had no idea if I was healthy, if she was healthy, if I was gonna have a okay pregnancy or a healthy pregnancy. I didn't know if after I had her, I would ever even see her again. There was so much darkness in my pregnancy because I'm in jail and I was facing 20 years in prison. They say that to scare you, and I knew that. So I fought for 6 months in county jail. I received a 5-year sentence with 15 years exposure, so they still kind of got me for 20. A suspended sentence essentially just means that if I commit another felony, they could petition to revoke that suspended sentence. My suspended sentence was to run consecutively once I completed my parole. So 5 years in prison, I served 50%, got out, had to do 3 years on parole, and then my suspended sentence kicked in. After my daughter was born in prison, she was put in foster care, and I fought for an entire year after I got out of prison to regain custody of her. She came home when she was over 2 years old, almost 3. During the course of my pregnancy and then the time that I did not have my daughter, I thought long and hard on how I would want to be a mom. What kind of roles did I want to have? How did I want to interact with her? What mistakes did my parents make? How could I do a better job? I came to the conclusion that I wanted to be honest with my daughter. And I didn't know how to do that right away. I didn't know what to say. So the first way that I started to talk to Micah about my past is I struggle with depression. And I openly would tell her that mommy's sad today, so let's make some cupcakes. Sometimes my brain is just like, you're gonna be sad. And I say things in like a fun, quirky way so that a child can understand it. In that journey, I have done my absolute best to give them the tools to not only express their emotions, but articulate their emotions, so if you're sad, if you're angry, what have you, if you're happy, we say that openly, so if they come to me and they're like, I'm mad. Okay, why are you mad? And that started when, my girls were toddlers. So I know it's every parent's nightmare to encounter temper tantrums, but they're trying to express themselves to us. They're trying to let us know that I am not happy in this situation. So instead of punishing my daughters for temper tantrums, I want to sit down with them and let them know, okay, we're screaming on the floor. I'm gonna sit on the floor with you. I know this is a tough situation. And I talk to them, hug them, and let them know, like, it's okay to be mad. We all get mad. That way I'm not punishing them for their emotions. So it started at a really young age, that open communication. And I was kind of building up to this moment where I was going to tell my daughter she was born in prison. Parenting is not comfortable and it's not easy. And if anyone told you that parenting is supposed to be comfortable and sunshine and rainbows and easy, then they lied to you. Parenting is my biggest responsibility. It's the most important job I have. And there were a lot of mistakes that my parents made because they didn't know. They didn't know how to talk to me about mental health, about drug addiction, and about prison, and that was my number one priority. I have to pour that into them and let them know that their emotions are normal and this is how we handle them. So it did start at a very young age. And then as my YouTube channel progressed and blew up, I wanted to tell Micah that we're celebrating my success on YouTube, but it's not mine alone. My success on YouTube is your success as well. Talking to Micah about that. So I remember when I got my 100K plaque and Micah was so excited and she was crying and said, "Congratulations, mommy, you did it." And I said, "No, girl, we did it. Our story together did this." And that is how I spoke about prison. So when she was, 6 or 7, I would tell her we have a very special story. You and I have a very special story. Mommy had to fight to be your mommy, and our story is so special. And I didn't specifically use the words, you were born in prison, until later, and I'll get there in a second. I'm sorry if this seems rambly, but I kind of want to explain the entire journey of Micah, and she's almost 9, so I want to explain the journey that we've gone through together. Not almost 9, she turns 9 in June. I have told my children many times that I went to jail. I had to take responsibility for my actions and for my sickness. I don't say addiction or drugs because they're so young. They're 8 and 4. So I don't use those words. I don't use depression, addiction, prison. I was sick, I'm sad, and jail. I got really sick and I made bad decisions and I went to jail because what happens when we get in trouble? We have to take responsibility for our actions. That has been a very common conversation in my household because that's something that they can understand. They understand if I break a rule, there's a consequence for it. So I always try to have these conversations at age appropriate levels in ways that they can understand it, using words that they already know, like sad or sick or jail. And now my kids think it's absolutely hilarious to write me tickets if I'm on my phone too long, or if I'm working too long, or if I don't play Tea Party right away, I get a ticket for that. So maybe they're gonna be cops, we'll see. So telling Micah the meat and potatoes of our story is something that I wanted to be special. I didn't want to be like, hey kid, you were born in prison. No, our story is so unique, and it's not only unique because she was born in prison, it's unique because she saved my life. And I do want to pause the video here because often when people hear me say, oh, Micah saved my life, Micah saved my life, they're not realizing that yes, Micah physically saved my life, and there was a lot of trauma in dealing with having a baby in prison and all of that. Riley healed my heart. So both of my children have helped me in some amazing way, and I'm so grateful for them, and I love them the same, which I think is so strange that I even have to say, but I get the craziest comments. So yes, Micah saved my life. No, Riley's not jealous when I say that, because Riley healed all of the pain that I had because my first pregnancy was so traumatic, you know, so they're both extremely special, especially to me because I'm their mama. So anyway, the way that I told Micah she was born in prison was in Florida on the beach. Her and I went for a very long walk, and I told her, do you know why our story is so special? And she said, no. And I said, well, you know, Mommy went to jail. And she said, yes, I know you went to jail. And I told her, I went to jail and you were in my belly. You were with me from day one. That's why you like ramen noodles so much. And I tried to make it, you know, fun or laid back because her and I can tear up some ramen noodles. And, you know, she's shaking her head, and I told her, I didn't get to be your mommy right away. Auntie Heather got to take care of you when you were a baby, when you were just a couple of days old. Do you remember when Riley was just a couple of days old, how little she was? She said, yes. And I said, well, that is when Auntie Heather, Micah's former foster mom, and I did an interview with her. I will leave it on the card up here. If I forget, please remind me. That's when Auntie Heather took care of you, and Mommy was still in jail, and I had to let go and let someone else take care of you until Mommy got better and I could take care of you. And that was a very difficult conversation because I know that Micah has seen us raise Riley from day one, and I didn't want her to feel as though, you know, I wasn't there for her, but I also want her to know that our story is so special and she saved my life, and I'm so grateful for her. So I tell her basically all of that in the most age-appropriate way that I possibly could, leaving out everything that I think of when I think of having her in prison, you know, the traumatic experience of it. And I tried to make it as special and age appropriate and kid friendly as I possibly could. You know, you were with me during that time, and we would make ramen noodles, and then Mommy had to go back to jail without you. You know, again, I don't say prison because I don't think she knows what that is yet. So I just wanted to, again, use that word that she knows, because I was sick, because I was in jail. And I got done telling her that, and I asked her if she had any questions for me. And she said, did you miss me? So of course I'm crying. I'm like, Micah, I missed you every day, but you made me stronger, and I fought for you, and now I get to be your mommy. And she asked me a couple of other questions that I answered for her. I believe at that time she did know that Reese was not her biological father. We had had that conversation, And that wasn't easy either. But like I said, parenting is not easy. I always want to be honest with my kids. I'm the one that they need to trust the most. And if I'm not honest with them, how can they trust me? You know, if I waited any longer to tell Micah that Reese didn't physically make her, then I feel as though there would be some resentment there. So I wanted to always be honest. And as soon as she was ready, I told her. And everyone is different. Every children's maturity is different. You know your babies. You know, if you're in that situation, you know what's best for your baby. But this was just what was best for mine. And I knew that. And I remember being very scared to tell her that Reese was not biologically her father. But you cannot tell that man that that is not his kid. That is his kid, that is his baby, and Reese will be adopting her very soon. Him and I are getting married and he's adopting Micah, and it's going to be the most special thing ever. I'll cry if I think about it too much, but in a nutshell, that is how we told Micah both of those things. Reese is not her biological father, and she was born in prison. Both conversations were difficult. Both conversations, she took that information and she just processed that so well, and she hugged me, and it was just such a sweet moment in both of those scenarios. I think I could tell, and I can't speak for her, but I think I can tell that she just really appreciated that honesty, you know, and I want her to always be able to tell me anything, both of them, both of my girls. There is absolutely nothing I will not do for my kids. And I just want them to feel safe and loved, and that they're in an environment they can be themselves in an environment where they can trust me, know that I'm gonna tell the truth, and be secure in this household. All of those things I did not have growing up. I didn't have stability, I didn't have honesty. My parents didn't talk to me about drug addiction or prison or anything. I remember my dad saying one thing to me at the dinner table. I think we were watching some movie about a drug dealer. I'm not exactly sure, but we're at the dinner table and my dad said, you know, drug dealers, only two things happen to them, right? They either die or they go to prison. And I'm like, cool. I was already selling drugs at that time. And I feel like my dad, even though he was in such severe denial of my life, I think he knew deep down that I was getting into a lot of serious trouble, and this wasn't just a phase or teenage angst or anything. He knew that it was much more serious than he wanted to let on, or that I wanted to let on. And my addiction and my drug dealing and all of that got really scary really fast. You know, so if you have a child and you're seeing that in them, keep in mind I was a young teenager when I started. If they start to lose interest in things that they used to love, that could be a sign that something deeper is going on. If they stop hanging out with the friends that they used to and they have a whole new set of friends, maybe something else is going on. It's a fine line between teenage rebellion and serious issues, you know, and I believe that my parents just wanted to believe that it was just normal teenage rebellion and angst and all of that, when the situation was so much darker. So having all of the knowledge that I have from my own experience, as well as my bachelor's degree and everything that I continue to learn beyond that, I hope that I'll be able to see those signs, and I hope that I'll be able to get them help that they need if they ever need that. But I firmly believe that in order to curb drug addiction in later years is to give our children a childhood they do not need to recover from. And trauma leads to addiction in so many different instances. Yes, we are all different, and we could find ourselves on that path for multiple different reasons, but all I can do is give them the emotional tools that they need, be honest with them, give them a household that is safe and filled with love and secure and stable, and hope that if those signs are presented later, that I know what to do in that situation. I'm gonna end today's video here. As always, I love you guys. Stay safe, stay sober, whatever that looks like to you, because there is no wrong way to recover. And I will see you in my next one.